An old Cherokee chief is teaching his grandson about life. "A fight is going on inside of me," he said to the boy. "It is a terrible fight, and it is between two wolves. One is evil, he is anger, envy, sorrow, regret, greed, arrogance, self-pity, guilt, resentment, inferiority, lies, false pride, superiority, self-doubt, and ego. The other is good. He is joy, peace, love, hope, serenity, humility, kindness, benevolence, empathy, generosity, truth, compassion, and faith. The same fight is going on inside of you and inside of every other person as well." The grandson then asked his grandfather, "Which wolf will win?" And the old chief simply replied, "The one that you feed." In the story of Berserk, there is a conflict that seeps deep into the psychology of our main character, Guts, and it will be the deciding factor on whether or not it will end in glory or tragedy. Many would say the biggest unsolved issue of the manga involves Guts finally getting revenge against Griffith for betraying the Band of the Hawk, having them all killed so that he could become a godlike figure, and the not-so-minor detail of Griffith raping Casca before Guts' very eyes. In fact, that was the last image Guts saw before his right eye was stabbed out and gone forever, permanently searing that heartbreaking and rage-inducing image into his mind. Griffith did everything wrong, and it was Guts who was forced to suffer and endure all the consequences after all this time. So Guts decided on a dream for himself, a dream of revenge, and wandered just over 2 years in search of an inevitable re-encounter with Griffith in order to cut him down. Even though the power difference between the two of them would make that virtually impossible, Guts still persisted. Now I, like many others, would find cathartic justice in the idea of Guts slicing Griffith down and finally exacting that revenge after all this time. Righteousness must prevail, and Femto must be punished. However, despite all the atrocities that Femto/Griffith has caused, and has caused Guts specifically and his loved ones, Griffith is not Guts' true enemy. No, cheesy as you might want to think it is, I think the major theme of the entire story and the entire idea behind the concept of the Beast of Darkness and the Berserker armor points to Guts' greatest enemy being himself. The Beast of Darkness is first introduced in chapter 118 of the manga about a third of the way through the Conviction arc, conveniently placed at the point in the story where the eclipse had already happened, and Guts had essentially been on his own for some time, isolated, alone, and full of rage and trauma that hadn't been dealt with or explored, put into a self-made tunnel of vengeance that caused him to put his entire body through torture and pain to enact his dream of revenge, practically killing himself time and time again in its pursuit. So much so that the darkness inside of him took shape and influenced the way Guts thought and viewed the world. The Beast of Darkness is not a literal demon, but it is Guts himself. It is the dark side of the mind personified, and it let him know it was created and given power due to Guts' murder spree. By Guts' own desire to murder and fight and act on these negative energy impulses, slowly the Beast of Darkness got stronger and stripped away his humanity until he, in a very much different way, but still, becomes just like Griffith, sacrificing his humanity for an ultimate purpose or dream. And this dark side of the mind exists in all of us. If you've ever been in a sour mood or you're just frustrated and you hear maybe a baby crying in the distance, you might want to walk over there and throw that baby out a goddamn window.
Ready, Ike? Kick the baby! Don't kick the goddamn baby. Kick the baby! Wah! Ah!
Or you might have an unexpected racist or sexist thought come out of nowhere in your head, even though you're not like that at all and you would never behave as such. These dark thoughts, as disturbing as they may seem, are actually normal. They are brought on due to us resonating with negativity, and the more negativity that we generate, the more likely and more often horrible dark thoughts will persist in our mind. One of the key ideas of meditation is to have no thoughts whatsoever and just be one with yourself and your surroundings, accepting things as they are, and not living in the past or obsessing over the future. It takes a lot of time and practice to get down just right, but the trick of it is to not judge yourself in the meantime. But if we take a character like Guts, could you ever imagine him for a second meditating? Well, at least not in the Black Swordsman or Conviction arcs anyway. And this is the idea behind it. Guts was throwing everything away to bask in negative energy in a warped idea that it would somehow help him with his end goal. Amidst all the demons and badass fight scenes in Berserk, there are several deep messages I believe that are important to all life regardless of the story it's contained in. And it's perfectly fine to like all of the Black Swordsman Guts with all of his edginess and kill now and ask questions later mannerisms. But the point therein is that this version of Guts was destroying himself from the inside out. It was hollowing out the man and creating nothing but a beast. Guts was losing his humanity, the same as Griffith, yet through completely different circumstances. Remember when Griffith said that he could only respect someone that he viewed as an equal and had a dream to follow of their own? First of all, would you even want respect from a man like Griffith after knowing everything that he would be willing to do? And second, Guts was doing just that. He was becoming Griffith's equal in his own way, and soon after, Guts realized that that's not what he truly wanted. He understood through a talk with Godo and a night alone in the ore cave by himself reflecting on his life that Casca was what he wanted. She was the light keeping his beast of darkness away. She gave him a reason to live that kept him human, embracing love instead of anger and despair. Yes, what happened in the eclipse is unforgivable, but Guts survived and deserves to live a life with what little happiness he can. But even realizing that fact doesn't destroy the beast. The beast of darkness remains. In truth, we never truly eradicate the beast within us, unless of course we become enlightened, but let's not go there just yet. We just learn to manage it better and suppress it by feeding the positive energy within us instead, feeding the good wolf. But with Guts going as long as he did, fueling that negative energy, his beast of darkness is stronger than the average man's. Represented as a demonic-looking wolf or hound, it demands Guts kill Casca to put her out of her misery, and then go pursue his revenge against Griffith. Guts dealing with all the frustration of keeping Casca safe while she constantly tried to run away from him, that frustration and anger is only fuel for the beast. So much so that he briefly gave in, kissing the unconsenting Casca and leaving a bite mark on her breast, before managing to snap out of it and pull himself away. The horror he feels by this is seen by us, and we are constantly giving so many reasons to be just as angry at Guts, but the only difference is we've seen his whole journey, and we see the thoughts inside of his head. The Beast of Darkness is given even more precedence in Guts' life once the Berserker armor is introduced. An enchanted armor that can keep you fighting at your maximum level indefinitely, eliminating your ability to feel pain, but also unleashing your inner darkness upon your enemies. And it is here where the Beast of Darkness thrives. Guts' inner demon is incredibly powerful, backed up with the years of traumatic memories and many horrible actions that he's done. Thus, Guts in the Berserker armor is a devastating force to be reckoned with. But with that, it has devastating consequences. Each time it is used, it takes away more of what makes Guts human. This time by numbing his senses, and as foretold, the previous owner of the Berserker armor died while using it. The theme here is that given into those dark recesses of your mind will take away your humanity and force you to become a very different entity entirely. We may use the Skull Knight as an example, though it's not 100% confirmed he is the way he is due to dying in the armor, but we can expect perhaps a similar fate for Guts if he continues on the path that he's currently on. This is why I say that Guts' true enemy in Berserk is the Beast of Darkness. By giving in to the dark, he becomes less of a man, and more of a monster. The quest for revenge only creates more negativity, and that beast feeds off of it. To me, the only way Guts has any hope of living like a normal man once more is to get rid of the Berserker armor and relinquish the Beast of Darkness once and for all. But then, where's the fun of the final battle? Don't you want to see Guts kill Griffith? Well, sure, but who says the Berserker armor will have any part in the final battle? Who says Griffith will still have all of his Femto God Hand powers in the final battle? Who says Guts will be the only one to deliver the final blow? Who says there isn't another concept or MacGuffin that Miura will throw into the story and change things up like he has many times before? Berserk isn't going to have its finale be something we can predict or something expected. This series constantly pulls the rug out from under us, and I trust Miura's storytelling. All I'm saying is that the entire concept of the Beast of Darkness is not something that's supposed to be good for our main character. It's meant to be a warning and a lesson. And it's going to put Guts into a position where facing down this part of him that has always existed ever since the beginning of the manga will be the most important and probably final part of his development as a character. But then, this is all just my theory and opinion, of course. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and feel free to discuss anything dealing with the idea of the Beast of Darkness, and what you feel it means to the overall narrative of the story. As always, guys, thanks a lot for watching this video. I really do appreciate it. Please give it a thumbs up if you would, subscribe if you want to stick around, and I'll talk to you guys in the next video.